Welcome back for another video. Who are the best players to buy this week for Gameweek 17 and longer term? Let's break it down nice and simple by position as always. Credit to FPL Review for the projection data we use. Let's get into it, starting off with a goalkeeper discussion. This week it's a tie at the top for Raya and Leno. Arsenal are going to play away to Crystal Palace and Fulham will be home to Southampton. Fulham seem to be going strength to strength. Silva's done a great job, and the next 5 are Southampton home, Chelsea away, Bournemouth home, Ipswich home and West Ham away. 20.46 expected goals conceded ranks 7th best this season, so Leno could be a solid option. That said, there are potentially better picks among defenders instead. Raya for 0.6 mil more than Leno, or Alisson for 0.4 mil more, look like they're worth the extra money. We saw Ederson back in goal last match as City went on to lose 2-1 in the Manchester derby. The City defence has been poor. They were in control for most of the game in fairness, but they've had so many injuries which hasn't helped. City actually have incredible fixtures from Gameweek 18 though. Perhaps a defender like Luis Ovado could still offer value. We'll talk more on them next Gameweek, but it seems like most of us are looking elsewhere right now. It's a bit like deja vu to last season. We've got Pope out injured, and in comes Dubravka with a clean sheet last match. He's only 4.2 mil. He's actually third on the keeper's table this week for the Ipswich game. The difference here is that Pope's injury is not long term. It could be another 4 or 5 matches potentially, and his next 5 projections are actually the worst here with that in mind. Plus he do have some difficult fixtures beyond Ipswich next game week. My number 1 keeper pick right now I think would be Alisson. Although they've got Spurs next, longer term it's Leicester, West Ham, Man United, Forest, Brentford, Ipswich, and then we're getting towards the extra double game week 24 for Liverpool and Everton. The only thing that's really going against Alisson is his injury record. This is his record at Liverpool, 9 injuries since the 1920 season. He's one of the best in the world when he's available though, and Liverpool's defence is the best of all teams this season. Moving on to the defenders, which seems to be where many of us are looking to make a transfer this week, after several red cards last game week and some fixture swings. It's Robinson leading the table this week with 4.1 points for the Southampton fixture. A shocking 5-0 defeat versus Spurs, with all 5 goals coming in the first half as well, as Russell Martin was practically sacked on the stroke of the full-time whistle. Will we see a response from the players, or do they remain a team to target? Robinson's having an incredible season, which has rumoured to have attracted some interest in bigger clubs even. 6 assists to his name, including 2 against Liverpool last match, 3 home games in the next 4. It's a perfect entry point for Robinson. Bassey also makes the table further down. He returns from suspension, but there's no point saving 0.2 mil there. Anderson's the one to keep an eye on if anything if you're tight for cash. If he's confirmed back and available though, he's only 4.2 mil now. Trent comes in second on the table with 3.8 points. If you don't buy him this week, then Gameweek 18 is an even better entry point when they're home to Leicester. Trent's probably worth the extra 0.5 mil for Van Dijk, but realistically both are great picks. Gomez isn't a void because Konate is gradually nearing a return reportedly. If Tsimikas is still out, then Gomez is actually going to have to play left back versus Spurs with Robertson suspended. The back line I guess picks itself. It might be Trent, Quansah, Van Dijk and Gomez for Gameweek 17. Gabriel, Saliba and Timber are all on the table for the Palace game, all on 3.8 projected points. A brutal late clean sheet wipeout last match for Colwill, as Mbeumo scored in the 90th minute. It's not too late to pick Colwill up. His next 5 does show potential value: Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Palace and Bournemouth. I think a reasonable question this week is buying Hall now points chasing? It's not a bad fixture away to Ipswich, but bigger picture, Pope is out for a while, and after that they've got Villa, Man United and Spurs in succession. Robinson and Colwill could be better picks for the next 4 realistically. With Gameweek 21 the next great entry point to buy Hall when they've got Wolves home, Bournemouth home, Southampton away, Fulham home. So Munoz picked up his 5th yellow card of the season last match. He'll miss Arsenal, which is great news from an FPL perspective. He's reset to 10 yellows now for his next suspension, and he'll miss a game where you never want to play him anyway. He's actually top of my defenders watch list. This season he's got 3.52 XGI in that wing back role, which only Trent, Davies and Vardy can beat. And look at the fixture run for Gameweek 19. Southampton, Chelsea, Leicester, West Ham, Brentford, Man United and Everton. For 4.7 mil, he could make an absolute mockery of the price tag. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists this season so far. Onto the midfielders, and it's another tight week for captaincy. Palmer actually leads on 6.8 and then it's Salah on 6.6. Slightly surprising to see Palmer marginally favoured, though 0.2 is basically noise in the data when it's that close. Chelsea are away to Everton, Liverpool are away to Spurs. Though of course Spurs missing their first choice centre backs, first choice keeper and potentially first choice left back as well after Udogie was withdrawn in the first half against Southampton with an injury. Spurs might need a miracle with that many players out at the back. As a reminder, there's League Cup games on before GW17. Arsenal, Palace, Newcastle, Brentford, Southampton, Liverpool, Spurs, Man United and Chelsea are all going to play before next game week, Chelsea's games in Europe. Last game week, also a reminder that all it takes is a penalty from a player having an otherwise quiet game and they're on for big points. Bruno actually started deeper in midfield with Ugarte against Man City, but Mount came off injured which saw Mainoo on, and then Bruno moved more advanced again. He's actually fourth for the next 5 game week projections after Palmer, Salah and Saka. 3 blanks in a row for Saka, though it feels like patience is important with players like him. We've seen him score 18, 13, 16 and 12 pointers this season already, and the fixtures are still great. He's a very risky sell despite the recent blanks. Bowen's home to Brighton, then he's away to Southampton before some brutal fixtures when he's home to Liverpool and away to Man City. So if you're buying him, it's a 2-week pick really. Or perhaps you just bench him against Liverpool because City's not necessarily a bad fixture, and then they've got Fulham home after that. It seems like we're still trying to figure out who the best 4th and 5th midfielders are. Saka, Palmer and Salah is a strong template right now. Bruno and Mbeumo have been ticking along. Mbeumo, the latest player to pass 100 points this season. I mean, Enzo's done excellent recently for very cheap. Iwobi's home to Southampton, and he's having a great season as well, and he makes the table. What about Ahmad then? Since his start against Leicester, he's been directly involved in 7 Premier League goals. Only Salah's been involved in more with 10 in the competition in that period. Man City were leading until the 88th minute last match, and Ahmad's goal setting a new record as the latest that a reigning champ has been ahead and go on to lose in Premier League history. Amrin also the first Man United manager not to lose his first Manchester derby since Sir Alex Ferguson as well. Some crazy stats there. So anyway, he looks like a great option for only 5.2 mil with 2 goals and 7 assists this season. In his last 6 matches, in isolation, he's only been benched once, coming on at half time as well, and in those 6, he's got 1 goal, 6 assists. These are the enablers that might be necessary to fund the likes of Isak and the premium defenders, along with the premium midfielders. So who's the better pick then, Enzo or Ahmad? It's really hard to separate them. Enzo's got 4.15 expected goal involvement this season, Ahmad's got 3.32, but Ahmad's only just started getting consistent minutes recently. Enzo is Chelsea's captain and perhaps slightly more nailed, with Rashford and Garnacho options around him, though neither of those actually made the squad last match interestingly. If I had to pick one right now, it'd be Enzo just about, but I mean both are amazing enablers. Onto the forwards, and this week Isak's top for the Ipswich fixture. 9 attacking returns in his last 8 games. He's hit some serious form recently, and Wilson out for a couple of months as well, puts it beyond doubt that he's nailed, and far less likely to come off early. Matches like the Leicester game perhaps the rare exception when they've got a comfortable lead, and then the logical thing to do is to manage his minutes, but if they're already 3 or 4 up, there's every chance he's been involved anyway. So Raul does look like a quality option with those fixtures ahead, but is he nailed? He does feel like a slightly risky pick as he's out of form really, and he comes off early basically every game, and it was Muniz who scored off the bench against Liverpool. It's enough to put me off buying him myself, but there is potential for those fixtures even in reduced minutes. We've not heard anything more on Cunha's potential suspension yet. Hold on to your transfers if you're looking to sell someone else and you have Cunha, in case just by the deadline they do announce a ban for that elbow on an Ipswich member of staff. We saw Kudus get 5 matches for something similar, but this is arguably worse to be honest. It's a pretty uninspiring list of forwards this week. Will the template shift to 3-5-2? Maybe we're expecting too much from the budget forwards as well. After all, they are cheap for a reason. What are your transfer plans this week? I'll read every comment, so drop one below. Hit subscribe and like if this was helpful as well. See you soon for the next one.